Hi guys, it's Tim, the economic forecaster, and today is June 26th of 2009. Well, it has been an interesting week to say the least. We did see Treasury bond rates decline as I had predicted, but the stock market has held up rather well. Yesterday was a strange trading day because the market pushed stocks higher, Treasury bonds higher, and commodities higher. I believe the manipulation of the stock market is getting worse as the Fed and Treasury continue to build confidence among investors. How long can the game continue? Probably for a while longer, as long as they keep rates down on Treasuries. But in this market, there are no guarantees. The more they screw around with the markets, the more problems they create in the long run. So, how have I prepared financially for the inevitable collapse that is to come? Well, first, we have to look at how we got ourselves into this mess. After World War II, the dollar became the world's reserve currency. Other countries would have to exchange their currency for dollars in order to purchase oil and other commodities. This made the dollar a commodity in itself because of demand. Slowly over time, the U.S. started losing more and more of its manufacturing base because it was cheaper to have goods made outside of the United States and then import them back into the country. Since the dollar was a universal currency, some countries started borrowing and lending in U.S. dollars. There are actual home loans and other debt that must be repaid in U.S. dollars in countries in Eastern Europe and other parts of the world. This continues to create demand for the dollar. Over time, the United States had become the financial capital of the world. The number one product we make and sell here is the U.S. dollar. The people of third world countries work hard for pennies a day to manufacture goods in exchange for the U.S. dollars. But there is one big problem. Over time, we have become addicts ourselves. You see, we have been living well beyond our means as a nation. We spend more money than we make and expect other countries like China, Japan, and Saudi Arabia to loan us money to maintain the lifestyles that we have become accustomed to. Let's take China for example. China has built a strong manufacturing base over the past 30 years, and their people work hard to produce products that are then exported to the United States and other countries around the world. We sell fewer goods than we buy from China, so we end up with a trade deficit. U.S. dollars leave the United States to pay for goods that were imported. The United States then borrows money from China by selling them Treasury bonds, and the dollars, being exchanged for debt, return back to the United States, and the whole cycle begins all over. We do the same with other countries like Japan and Saudi Arabia. Our debt stimulates their economies, but we cannot keep this up forever because for every dollar we borrow, it must be repaid with interest. Over time, our government started running budget deficits and trade deficits. Consumers started taking on more and more debt. Over the years, the government has had to manipulate our economic indicators so the rest of the world would have confidence in our ability to pay back the money that they had loaned us. But now it's becoming clear to the rest of the world that the U.S. does not have a way of paying it back. We have no real manufacturing base. Our auto industry accounted for 50% of the production part of the economy, and that has all but fallen apart with GM and Chrysler in bankruptcy. So if we can't produce our way out of this mess, then how can we borrow our way out? We can't. I believe Gerald Celente said it best when he called it the bailout bubble. This will buy little time for the U.S. government. We will eventually default on our debt and the U.S. financial system will collapse. There is way too much debt in the system, and taking on more debt will only speed up the collapse. I expect the government will resort to every trick in the book to keep the game going for as long as they can. The Federal Reserve has been operating outside of their authority for some time now. Congress needs to remove Ben Bernanke and pull the plug on the central bank. Our regulatory agencies have turned their backs on such things as insider trading, money laundering, and outright corruption. We have seen the bankruptcy laws ignored by the highest courts in the land, and government has taken larger stakes in private industry. These are acts of desperation and lead us away from capitalism and towards fascism. So, how have I prepared for the financial collapse? I'm holding about 35% cash, 30% in precious metals, 30% short financials, and 5% in real goods such as food, ammo, and other items that I can use and barter with. Now this is not financial advice, and I am only disclosing my personal investment holdings. We are living in interesting times. There is nothing in history that we can compare this to. Once again, I thank you for watching, and I look forward to your comments.